When you take action, that's how you build momentum. That's how you build motivation, because you take an action, you see a little bit of progress, and that builds momentum and motivation. If you're always doing the 5s, pick up the 10. See what happens. Don't make stupid big jumps, just a little bit of weight. Add a little weight to the bar. Push yourself 1 rep further. See what happens. Welcome to the Lifting Q's podcast by Fifth Power Fitness. I am Coach Quinn, aka Coach Q, owner and founder of Fifth Power Fitness, an online fitness coaching business to help you get as strong and jacked as possible, no matter your lifestyle. And in today's episode, it's March. We're getting ready for March Madness. Now you might be thinking, this isn't a sports podcast, is it? No, it's still a fitness podcast. We're going to tie it all in. I have always been kind of obsessed with March Madness. Ever since I was a little kid, I loved filling out the brackets, watching upsets, all that stuff. I wanted to bring that into fitness now that it's coming up again. People are getting excited about it. I get excited about it. There's something to be said about the pure essence of sport, putting your all into something, people not believing in you, but you come out on top. We see these upsets, determination, hard work culminating into one moment. And I think that really fits into fitness in a beautiful way, because we put in all this hard work day in and day out, forcing ourselves to be disciplined, consistent for one day to, hit that PR or body weight goal. So thinking about how we apply that to our fitness, I want to bring that same energy to the rest of this month. We're going to have fun with the new setup of the podcast, which I alluded to last week. Last week ended up being a little bit different of a podcast just because I was in a different place. I had just suffered an injury, hadn't done a podcast in a while. I wanted to catch you guys up, let my thoughts out and how I was feeling in that moment and, how I'm going to progress going forward. But with this new setup of the podcast, brought to you by Fifth Power Fitness, now that I have started the fitness coaching business, it's going to be set up a little bit different. So there's what I call the 5 powers of fitness. And these 5 powers all come together, and we have to be masters of each one and put them all into our life to be able to build the lifestyle and reach the goals we want. So they go in this order. If you haven't heard them, check out the website, fifthpowerfitness.com. All the powers are there. You can get more information, book calls, subscribe to the newsletter. There will be a newsletter at the end of the week detailing this podcast in writing, so you can read it every Fifth Power Friday. Remember to like, rate, subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Watching this video on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel. It always helps. And then I can bring more content. So with that being said, 5 powers of fitness. Number 1 is strength in all aspects of your life. It started with just being, getting people physically strong. When I started training people in the gym, my biggest realization was that, people just haven't learned how to move properly and express their strength, or they haven't built any strength. They just need to build more strength. A lot of people think, I can't squat down deep enough, or I can't get up. Oh, my hips must be tight. I must need to stretch more or do mobility. No, you probably just need to get stronger. So that's really where it started. And that's why this is the first power, is I think it's important for everyone to get stronger. But in that pursuit of gaining strength, discipline, consistency, and pushing yourself, you learn these mental and emotional strengths, or you develop this mental and emotional strength. So I think it's a really good encapsulation of building strength in all aspects of your life. And that's what we're looking to do with that. Number 2 is muscle. Muscle is not just important to your aesthetics. It's not about just getting as jacked as humanly possible so that you can show off your muscles or have this physique. Muscle is an organ of health. Your metabolic sync, it makes you more insulin sensitive. Carbohydrates and glycogen improve your health. It'll improve your metabolism. It speeds your metabolism up by building and repairing and maintaining that muscle. It also allows you to just move more and have more energy, which burns more calories. So there's a lot of other factors, but that's why I think training to build muscle is important. I see a lot of people that, they're what I'll call cardio bunnies, but people that do a lot of running or a lot of cardio, and they're thin and they look healthy and they're able to run very far, but they don't have a ton of muscle mass and end up having health problems, or their body starts to deteriorate in different ways because they haven't built muscles. I think whatever you're doing, focusing on some sort of muscle building is not only good for your physique, but it's really great for your overall health as well. So that's why that is a power. Number 3 is nutrition. Nutrition is the building block of everything. It's how we shape our physique, how we change our body composition. We eat for our health. So that is, all of these things have to come together. We have to do the training and eat a certain way to be able to look the way we want, feel the way we want, perform the way we want. So it's about how do we build a nutrition plan that really works for us and is sustainable long term that we can stick to. This isn't about diet plans. This is about building a nutrition plan for your life. That's why nutrition is number 3. Number 4 is intention. This gets into that holistic lifestyle approach. Intention is all about your mindset. It's all about living intentionally. We want to make our fitness a part of our life. We live our lives intentionally to be healthier and the person we want. If you want to make a positive change in your life, that is not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen just because you lose 10 pounds. To be able to do that, you have to change your habits and behaviors. You have to say no to certain things and shift your mindset. So having that intention of, every time you go into a meal, what is my intention? Every time you go into the gym, what is my intention? You're not just getting in there and going through the motions. You're getting in there for a purpose to get the work done. You're developing a champion's mindset, is the way I like to say it, of what does the champion do every time they go into the gym. You don't have to want to be a champion. You don't ever have to, get on a platform. You don't have to think you're going to be, Kobe Bryant at basketball. Having that mindset and treating yourself like that to say, I am going to be the best that I can be, will help you develop the discipline that is necessary. So that's why intention is so key and one of the 5 powers of fitness. So we're going to set our intentions properly. 5th one is going to be action, because, and this is, I like this as the foundation. Number 5, because none of those other powers matter without our action. Unless we take action, none of the other information that I can give you, none of the other things are actually going to end up working if we don't actually do them. So it's about taking actions. You can plan and learn everything, but if you don't put that plan and that knowledge into action, it's worthless. So we're going to take that action step. I'm going to give you all of the tools and then make it as easy as possible to just take that action. So with that breakdown, that is how we're going to break out the podcast. Every podcast, there will be topics on each of the 5 powers of fitness, trending topics, new research that's coming out, things I'm thinking about, things that my clients are going through that I can share with you guys. That's how we're going to break out the podcast. That's how the newsletter is broken out. So everything is going to be in those 5 powers of fitness. So you're going to get applicable takeaways. You're going to learn things in each of those 5 powers to help you master them and take your fitness and life to the next level. Back to our March Madness edition of this podcast. So what I wanted to do is break out kind of in different ways. All right. So with those 5 powers in mind, how does this apply to March Madness? How are we going to make this connection? So what we're going to do is, for strength, muscle, and nutrition, I'm going to give you my elite 8 movements or foods. For strength, you got your top 8 strength movements. For muscle, you're going to have your top 8 movements. And then for nutrition, we're going to give you a little bit of, I'm going to give you the diet foods. I hate saying that, but I think these are the foods that if you build your diet around, it makes it easiest to control calories. And I'll explain that when I get there. For intention, we're going to talk about that champion's mindset a little bit more and how to develop that. And then action, it's all about getting in the dance. If you know about March Madness or sports, anything can happen. All you got to do is get there. If I get in the game, I have a chance to win. But if I'm not there and I put myself in that position, I have no chance. So if you're not getting into the gym, we have no chance to be successful. That's how we're going to break it out. Let's start with strength. Our elite 8 movements for strength. And why these 8? So the biggest thing with these 8 movements is, in strength and functionality, there are 6 major movement patterns. There is the squat pattern. Why is this a major movement pattern? Think getting up and down out of a chair, anything like that. That is a major movement pattern. This is where your hips hinge and your knees flex at the same time. Both joints are moving. That is a squat pattern. Next is a deadlift or hinge pattern. Knees are more locked, mostly hip hinge. Think picking anything off the floor. Next one is going to be a horizontal push. So push up, bench press. That's, again, we do that all the time. Next one is going to be horizontal row. So that is another major movement pattern because the way the back works, it rows horizontally and it pulls vertically. That will be another major movement pattern. And then we're thinking pushing vertically. Think, putting that bag in your overhead compartment, anything like that. That is a major movement pattern. And also in major movement patterns, I like to include a carry. So let's get to our elite 8. So we're going to break this down in those 6 major movement patterns and then include the 2 extras that are best for strength. Number 1, barbell back squat. That lift is king, queen, all of it. That's my personal opinion. You have to do a squat pattern. For the barbell back squat specifically, when we're thinking about strength, we're thinking about loadability, progressibility. I don't know if that's a word, but it is now. But those are the things that we're thinking about. And when you think about the barbell back squat, you can load it the heaviest out of the squat patterns. Once you learn the movement, you can really load it. It's an incredible builder of strength for the legs, core, back, really everything. It's a full body movement and the most loadable and easily progressed. Front squats are a little bit more difficult just because it's a little bit harder to find that position and get the shoulder mobility that you need or just get comfortable in that position. So it's not quite as loadable and it's a little bit slower to progress. It's a great movement. It's awesome if you can find good ways to do it. That's why I picked the barbell back squat. It's my favorite lift. It's my favorite thing to do. It always has been since I was 13, 14 years old. Probably helps that I'm naturally pretty good at it, which makes it fun. It's always going to be number 1. I don't know if anybody can unseat that one for me. You might be able to convince me that number 2 should be number 1. I could hear the argument, but I just don't think you're going to convince me as a full body lift. There's nothing that expresses strength quite like putting a weight on your back that could physically crush you and sit down and stand back up. I don't know what's stronger than that. So that's just my opinion. But that's why the barbell back squat will always be number 1. You can use any squat variation, anything that helps you get up and down, flex at your hips and knees is a squat. Split squats, even leg press can be good for building the legs, especially if, your posterior chain, your core is not quite strong enough yet while you build that up. So those patterns work as well, but I'm with the barbell back squat for number 1. Number 2, deadlift. I could be convinced this is number 1 or the best strength lift or the best expression of strength, but there's not I'm going to say something and I don't want it to sound too weird because, this has actually happened and I don't want people to be scared to lift weights. But with a deadlift, there's not the inherent risk of death. The bar is on the floor and the worst that can happen, sure, people have injured their back, but I think it's more rare than people would lead you to believe. But the worst thing that's going to happen is you just can't pick it up and you're just going to drop it back to the floor. With the squat, if you can't get it up, you have to bail with weight on your back or be saved. With the deadlift, you don't have that, but that doesn't make it, less of a strength lift. That's just, in my mind, but there's that mental piece of this strength as well. The deadlift is number 2, super functional, picking things up off the floor. Strengthens the entire posterior chain, very easily progressed with the barbell. Number 3, I'm going to put pull-ups just for, again, functionality of being able to pull yourself up. I think it's really important to develop that strength, hit the lats and learn how to move your shoulder blades. For upper body mobility, this is a great one, being able to hang your core. Everything is involved in this movement. It's a functional movement. It can be loaded, progressed, put weight on it, do more reps. It can be progressed in any way. This is another very hard movement for a lot of people to learn. And because, handling our own body weight is difficult if we don't do it enough or if we are at too heavy of a body weight. Learning how to handle your body weight is another version of strength that this develops. And I just think the lat strength and being able to utilize your lats and move your shoulder blades in the way that you need to to be able to do a successful pull-up is super important. And, you know, chin-ups can be in there too, but fuck those right now. I'm just kidding. Just because I tore my bicep doing a chin-up does not mean I think chin-ups are bad, does not mean chin-ups are dangerous, does not mean any of that. There were a lot of factors that led to me being injured. It's just, it's going to be a while before I do a chin-up again. Pull-ups are number 3. Number 4, you're probably expecting bench press, but you're going to have to wait on that one because this is going to be overhead press. I like the overhead press for upper body strength more than a bench press for a few reasons. Number 1, I think the overhead press is more functional than a bench press. And it is more, I really think that's the biggest thing. And you have to develop some mobility to do a successful overhead press. Now, I don't talk about mobility a ton because the way I look at mobility is full range of motion strength training develops mobility. So we just have to, it's just a matter of where you start and how you progress. I think being able to progress to an overhead press and having that overhead mobility and mobility in your back with that pull up, you're developing both here. So that's why the overhead press beats bench press for me. Bench press is a very technical lift. You see people that set up with giant arches where your hand placement allows you to bench press more or less. Range of motion is different. Everyone's a little bit different. People can get away with a heavier bench press with good technique or limb lengths. I just think the overhead press, I feel, is more controlled in that you're starting here. You got to press that bad boy overhead. Now there's a little bit in how much your spine can bend, whether you're doing a fucking standing incline press or something. But I think the overhead press is just more controlled and like, there's not a lot that's more impressive than a heavy ass overhead press. I think it's a great expression of strength because there's nowhere to hide from it. You have to start at the bottom. You have to start at the contraction. You get no stretch reflex. You get no chance to feel out like, oh, can I hold the weight? I mean, it's a fucking grind to get through those. And if you can do that, you're fucking strong. So that's why that comes in at number 4, and it is the first press on the board. So that's your final 4, if you guys are wondering. Those I think are the 4 most important. If I could only do 4 exercises for the rest of my life, it would be those 4. But let's get into 5 through 8, who just doesn't make the cut, but fills out that elite 8. So number 5, still not bench press. We're still not there yet. I'm going to go bent over row. I see so much hate online for this lift. I half understand it, but I also think it's dumb. It's a great strength exercise for the entire posterior chain. You have to be in a hip hinge. There's significant load on your lower back, so it's great for strengthening the entire posterior. Plus, you get more lat engagement in upper back work than with a deadlift because you get the eccentric portion of it with this lift. And that's why bent over rows are great, especially for building strength in the posterior. So you're holding a position compromised that makes you stronger in weak areas like your lower back, glutes and hamstrings. You get to work the lats and upper back in an eccentric. You can stretch it out, get full range of motion. It's just a great lift for building strength in really your entire posterior. Extremely loadable, progressible. As you get stronger, it gets heavier. There's no upper limit. I love this lift. We'll get to the bench press. I have to fit in that horizontal press, and this one's the most loadable. You could do something like push-ups, even dumbbell press, I think would be a good here. Also loadable. Push-ups, not quite as loadable. Not everyone has access to a heavy weighted vest, but bench press gets it in here for that horizontal push because it is the most loadable. I think there's ways of doing the bench press that make it a little bit more for developing actual functional strength. So not having the biggest arch, keeping your hands a little tighter than competition with, way out wide so you don't have to go as far. So you can make it work for whatever it is that you want to make it work for, but bench press comes in at number 6. Now, number 7 and number 8 We've gotten through our 6 main movement patterns. We've developed the strength and movement patterns we need. If you were only going to do 6 exercises for the rest of your life, probably those 6. What else can we do? So one thing I want to do is I really like to do single leg work or unilateral leg work. Again, the barbell back squat is going to develop a lot of leg strength, but I think there's just so much functionality in unilateral lower body work. So that's going to come in at number 7. My favorite is the reverse lunge. I think it's the easiest to load. It's the easiest to do. Now you could say split squat. I think reverse lunge is just a little more functional and loadable. You get more leg drive off the back leg. So you're not just doing single leg, but you're getting a lot of load on that eccentric load. I think it's a better eccentric load because of the movement pattern goes. Stepping back is more natural than standing in this split stance. So I just think it's a little bit more loadable, which is cool. And I think it works the best for that. So that's why reverse lunge comes in for number 7 as our single leg movement. Number 8 is a loaded carry. Biggest reason for loaded carries. I don't care about grip strength. Sorry, guys. I have deadlifts in there. I have pull-ups in there. I have bent over rows in there. If you can progress those 3 lifts, you have strong grip strength. You don't need to work grip outside of that. A lot of people point to, but people that live the longest or are the healthiest have the best grip strength. You know why? It's because they strength train. Grip strength is just a really easy way to measure, how strong are you really? If you're a strong deadlifter, your grip strength is strong. You don't need to train your grip strength for outside of the lifts that you're doing. It should be just fine. Even if you use straps, you still grip the bar tight. The reason I like carries is for core work and functional core work. I really like unilateral carries, single arm carries. An overhead carry is great for overhead strength, mobility, and core strength as well. Offsetting those with, a unilateral carry and an overhead carry. You just grab some heavy weight and fucking walk around with it. Keep your core tight, good posture. It's good for strength and super functional. I'm team one trip from the car to the kitchen. If I can make it in one trip, I'm going to fucking do it. They used to call them farmers carries. Now I call them grocery carries. So I like that one as well. So that is your elite 8, the top 8 teams or exercises in our March Madness bracket for strength. On the strength side, these are the ones that give you the best bang for your buck. Now, with any good March Madness tournament, it is all about the underdogs. It's all about the upset. So we have those top 8. We know that those top 8 teams never always make it to the elite 8. Someone always upsets them. So who are my underdogs in this tournament? Those exercises we need to try and include can sneak up on us and be great for strength. For the squat pattern, my favorite is a belt squat. The loadability, the transfer to your actual squat, the ability to make it look like an actual squat, but you get to take the stress off of your spine. So all of that weight is going to be in your legs. And I think it transfers better than a leg press. So the belt squat is a big one. Next one, watch out, deadlifts. Good mornings are coming for you. It's a great hinge movement that really strengthens the back a ton. It puts a ton of stress on the lower back and core. So I love that one. For a row variation, we had bent over rows as that staple exercise, but I'm going to include single arm dumbbell rows as well because I just freaking love this movement. It's so easy to load heavy. You can really throw some weight around once you learn. The biggest reason it doesn't get included in the first 8 is because it's a hard movement to learn. Once you learn how to engage that lat, you can start to really throw that weight around, but teaching that is difficult. So it doesn't quite make the cut, but it's definitely, that one could pull some upsets for sure. I love the dumbbell row. Seated dumbbell incline press is my one to watch out for. It's a horizontal and vertical push, but I like it more for the vertical push. I am not a huge fan of straight up seated dumbbell press for overhead. It's a great strength movement, but harder to load and set up. But if you do a high incline, you get the best of both worlds, hit front delt, and upper chest. I like dumbbell incline, which that's kind of going to be both of our presses there, overhead and horizontal. You can change that incline a little bit to what you need, but I think that's a great one, super loadable. Next one is going to be JM press. Now this one's kind of coming out of nowhere. This is kind of your deep dark, your dark horse team for real, like the 14, 15 that makes a run. Just because I don't think a lot of people do these, but a JM press is basically a skull crusher, but you come down to your chin, start over your chest, like elbows come forward, stretch out, it comes down to your chin and press back up. Great for triceps and transfers well to bench press strength. It's great for tricep strength. If you're failing that lock out of your bench press or just your triceps are a little bit weak, this is a great one to kind of build that up. So I like that as a really underrated strength movement. Last one is TRX ab rollouts. Start in a regular plank, lift arms overhead, keep core tight, and then you pull yourself back. This is a great core strengthener. You have to set your hips and, your rib cage down so that you're not overextending at the top. You're able to keep that core tight as you roll it all the way out and back in. It's a great movement I don't see a lot of people doing, and it can really make your strength take off. So including some of these underdogs in with those Elite 8, I think you can build heck of a program that's really good, really efficient, super progressible, and will keep you making progress in all of the areas that you want and building a great physique. Now, there's one that I didn't include. I didn't include a vertical pull because, our lat pull down's really an underdog. There's only so many vertical pulls that you can do. You can change grips, but I don't see them as an underdog. They're always there. They're always in it, but never have a chance to really do anything. If you can't do pull-ups, lat pull-downs are great, but it's the same movement pattern. I didn't include that. The biggest game changer was good mornings. I always hated doing them because they suck, man. They suck. But starting to do good mornings, I think really changed or really adapted and developed my core and posterior strength to a level that it hadn't been before, and allowed me to PR my squat and deadlift. So I can point to that movement as supportive of the other two. It has the ability to make its way into the top 8. I could put good mornings in over loaded carries or even, your unilateral leg exercise. It could fit in there. Now, I don't think it'll surpass deadlift as a hinge movement, but it's a great movement to get strong at and progress. Include that one. It has a chance to make a run. So I really like good mornings as far as that strength movement. But so that's our strength side of the board. Now we're going to move to muscle. Why do you separate these out as far as exercise selection and training? Because different things are important for building muscle than just for building strength. So strength, there's 3 major things. It is a very specific movement. We have to develop a set of motor skills to do specific movements. Strength is expressed in a specific movement pattern. Powerlifting is squat, bench, and deadlift, and there's standards for each so you can train it very specifically. It controls the variables. So people can have different looking squats, but it's like, how low do you get? Deadlift. Are you hitching on the way up? Are you pulling a clean lift? Bench press. Are you holding a pause and making a press? Like, are you keeping your butt down? All that kind of stuff controls the variables as much as possible so that we can even the playing field so that we can see who is the strongest. So strength, you have to develop those motor skills. You have to develop neurological connections. So your ability to transfer force from muscle to tendon to bone, adapt under load, and be able to do that under heavier and heavier loads. You have to develop those neurological connections, and the muscle force determined mostly by muscle size. Once you get proficient with motor skills and neurological patterns and ability to transfer force efficiently, then you just got to get bigger and be able to produce more force. With building muscle, the biggest thing is how do we stimulate the muscle and put the most tension on it? And that's going to be things like range of motion, getting it into the most stretched, getting the muscle into the most stretched position, because that's where there's the most tension, pushing close to failure. So we're going to look for more stable exercises. If you think about pushing a squat to failure, we talked about that imminent risk of death You don't want to be failing squats on a regular basis. So you don't want to be necessarily pushing a barbell back squat to failure. That's probably not going to be your best muscle builder. Is there a ton of tension on the legs? Yes. There's also a ton of fatigue because you're putting the bar on your spine. There's axial load, which increases that fatigue. If I'm pushing that to failure, am I going to be able to do anything else? Am I going to get enough volume? Am I going to work out the rest of the week? Trust me, I've done squat sets to failure, and it's mentally more exhausting than physically, and it's physically exhausting. You're recovering for like a week when you do heavy squats to failure. So we're going to mitigate that with muscle building exercises. Let's go through our kind of elite 8. Number 1, and we're still going to focus on those 6 main movement patterns for 1 through 6. So number 1 is a hack squat. I like this movement better because it's a great quad builder. It's easier on a hack squat. You're more stable. There's less axial load. And you're able to load it pretty heavy, and you're able to adjust the movement pattern to really get great knee flexion and really stretch the quad and get a great quad stimulus. So that's why that is the squat pattern that is going to be in for hack squats. You could argue belt squat for the same reasons I did for strength. You're taking off that axial load and really able to load the legs pretty heavy, but it's harder to set up to isolate the quads better. It's a great glute builder. If you're a quad dominant squatter, it can be great for the quads as well. I like the hack squat personally as the best one. You could also put the leg press in there. It's very similar to that. Number 2, RDLs. Because we're thinking about building muscle, it's not going to be a regular deadlift because it doesn't have the kind of eccentric load that the RDL does. So because you're keeping your knees locked, you're not using your quads on the way up, you're lowering slow and stretching out the hamstrings and the glutes in the lower back. It puts a lot more eccentric tension and a lot more stretch tension on that muscle. You can adjust the range of motion to be as far as you need. You can slow down that eccentric to make it difficult. There's a lot of different aspects to increase the intensity. It's super loadable. I think for hamstring and glute development, it's probably going to be the best one. So that's why I'm going to put that one in there. Number 3, single arm chest supported lat pull down. Now we're starting to get into the optimal type of training. But again, this is the elite 8, the top of the top. For lat development, I love a chest supported single arm lat pull down, setting up the bench in front of the cable machine on an angle. You can get that stretch up and out because the lat wraps around the body and stretches up and down. If you stretch up and out at a 45-degree angle, that's going to stretch that lat. Using the chest support allows for maximum stability. Get that stretch, feel stable, and isolate the lat on the way down. Easy to push to failure. Great range of motion. You can slow down that eccentric, load it heavy. You can put a strap on to be, oh boy, did I just say that? Nope, we're going to forget about that. Use lifting straps to be able to, do more volume. So I think that's a great one. And just building that mind muscle connection and learning how to use the lat, isolating that single side, using the chest support for that stability. Super great. Number 4, machine shoulder press. So when it comes to building that front delt and getting that vertical push, I like doing machine shoulder press because again, that stability. I like the resistance path. It's easier to get overhead. You can get a full stretch in a comfortable position by setting the seat the right way so you can come down, get a full stretch, have that tension at the bottom and have that tension throughout. Just a great exercise to load, push to failure. Again, the stability. With dumbbells, you lose a bit of that stability. You have to get set up. Trying to get the dumbbells up on that first one's very difficult. So that's why the machine shoulder press gets precedent in the elite 8 for hypertrophy as far as the delts are concerned. For your horizontal push, we're going to dumbbell low incline press. When we're talking about hypertrophy, we're talking about how we can get the most amount of volume, push close to failure, get the best range of motion. So when we're talking about chest supported cable, like all these different things that we're adding to it, like why don't you just do a flat dumbbell bench press, bro? You can. Sure. That's great. But I think just putting up a low incline, much easier on the shoulders, much easier to get that range of motion. You're going to stay healthier. You're going to be able to push to failure more often. You're still able to get a great range of motion. You're able to hit the entire chest. It's only a low incline. It's easier to get the elbows out in front, a great stretch, the right joint angles to be able to maximize your strength, to be able to maximize the volume, maximize the muscle recruitment. So I just think that's why the low incline press is, and going dumbbells is better for, hypertrophy than a barbell, because you get that full stretch. You can stretch down as low as you want. So that's why that one wins. So number 6 is going to be a wide grip cable row. I went back and forth on what the best one was, but I really like the wide grip row because it's a great lat builder. You can get great range of motion really stretched out. It's also a great upper back builder and mid back builder because of that squeeze at the top, and then you can really let it stretch out. Again, stable exercise, push to failure, all the good hypertrophy things. And it's one of my favorite back movements ever. I really like the wide grip cable row for hypertrophy. Now, number 7 and number 8 are going to be a little bit different because we're looking to build a physique. We're going to think about some different things. So number 7 is going to be your overhead tricep extension. Reason for this is going to hit the long head of the tricep. So this muscle in the middle here, this big one here that makes your arm look huge from behind. If you want big arms, you need bigger triceps. And in all of your pressing movements, especially as a male, you work more of the short head of the tricep. We want to get something that isolates the long head. I like overhead the best because, again, ability to push to failure, stability. Skull crushers are really good, but I like the cable tension, constant tension, being able to get that full range of motion, really stretch that tricep out. Stretch it out at the shoulder joint as well because it crosses over that. So I really like that one. And then number 8 is going to be the cable lateral raise. I love cable lateral raises. You can do machine lateral raises too if you have one of those at your gym. But again, that constant tension and being able to build that shoulder cap, that mid delt, those wide shoulders, super important. And I think this is the best way to do it. There's not a great compound exercise to build that part of the body. So that's why it's in the Elite 8. It's the best exercise for building that shoulder cap. So we need to include it. We've hit everything else. We hit the quads, hamstrings, lats twice, mid back, front delt, chest, triceps. It's the only thing we don't have. I mean, you get some pulling with your biceps. We didn't hit the calves, but I'm never going to include that because outside of astronomical amount of volume, genetics, or steroids, it's pretty impossible, but you can include that if you want. Biceps and calves are the only ones that didn't get included in the Elite 8 because they get work elsewhere. I only had 8 exercises, so we got to prioritize. Maybe you could do a reverse grip row to hit the biceps as one of your back exercises. All the other stuff is so important to hit. Maybe you could pull a vertical press out and put a bicep exercise in. That might be your best bet because you get some front delt work in your horizontal pressing. Front delts might not be most important from a physique perspective. So if I only had 8 exercises, those would be the 8, but that's how we're going to set up, those top 8 seeds. Now let's look at some underdogs. So with those hypertrophy underdogs are the ones to watch out for. These exercises, I think you should definitely include and have a chance to make a real difference in your muscle gains. Number 1 is the seated hamstring curl. RDLs, yes, they hit the hamstrings, but there's other movers involved. The adductors are really involved. The glutes are involved. It's limited by your lower back. So by doing the seated hamstring curl, I think it's a great way to really isolate the hamstrings. Plus, with the seated version versus the lying version, we get a better stretch. Also, there's 2 muscles of the hamstrings. They're the biceps of the legs. 2 hamstring muscles work. The seated version works both of those because of the stretch in the way that your hips are positioned versus the lying version. Lying version only hits really one of the hamstrings muscles. So the seated version gets us a great stretch, super easy to push to failure, control the eccentric, With proper setup, you can get, again, that awesome stretch. You can adjust your upper body positioning to get more stretch out of the hips and the hamstrings. So great exercise right there. Another one going to be neutral grip lat pull downs. I think this is a great one to really isolate the lats and get a great stretch, and be able to load really heavy and push a lot heavier. So I like that as an actual pull down as opposed to just the horizontal pull. Getting a straight pull down, I think, is great. Another one I really like that's going to hit the front delt is a cable shoulder press. So you can do this standing. I like to do it leaning forward. Set the cable in line with your shoulder when you bent over, and then you can get a great stretch, bring overhead press. Great way to isolate the front delt and really get great range of motion. So I like that. Not quite as loadable, but a great exercise nonetheless. That's why it's an underdog. It has a chance to do great things in your program, but maybe it's not a staple. For the row variation, we're going to go this time the chest supported row, horizontal row. Do this neutral grip, wide grip, whatever you want to do. Again, adding stability. It adds a great stretch for the lat, able to push to failure, all those kind of things. I think it's just a great exercise. You can do it single arm, double arm. It has a lot of variability, a lot of variations that can be very beneficial for you. For the horizontal press, we're going to go a cable chest press. Now you can do this with machine as well, but I really love a cable chest press. Your pecs stretch, fan out. A lot of things, wide grip, wide chest. But when you go super wide, it's hard to really continue to stretch the chest. It only stretches so far. Keep a close grip and go really deep with the cables, holding them like a neutral grip. You can go super deep and stretch your chest around. Think Superman pulling his shirt apart, puffing his chest out. You get that great stretch and then press out. Takes shoulder mobility and control. Not quite as loadable, but a great exercise that can win games in the tournament, can make gains in your program from block to block. Next one, cable crunches. We hadn't really included anything direct ab work, and I think a cable crunch is one of the best because there's a great eccentric load with the cable. You get great muscle recruitment if done correctly. So cable crunches are a great. Then I'm going to add a bicep exercise. I'm going to add cable curls facing away from the machine, stretching back, getting that full stretch of the bicep with constant tension. I think that's probably one of the best ones. I didn't include anything for the quads. Heel elevated, high bar squat. The belt squat with heels elevated, really getting into the quads is a great one. You can do leg extensions. I couldn't rate them as underdogs. They're always kind of in the program, in the middle of the pack. They don't really have that underdog quality. So I tried to think of things you probably wouldn't have thought of and can optimize range of motion or tension on a certain muscle. So I think those ones, the ones I included there in that underdog, are going to be the best ones for you to get the results that, you know, you're kind of looking for out of your training. Those underdogs to watch can really make gains, change your physique, and take it to the next level by including these in your program, figuring out how they work for you and making sure that you progress them. All right. So the exercise bracket is done. We are strong. We are jacked. Now, how do we work our nutrition into this? What are the top 8? I'm going to say the word diet foods, but I really hate that term. I think the biggest thing is, what are the staple foods in our diet that help us control our calories, get enough protein, get enough nutrients, but maintain a physique that we are happy with and supports our life and our performance? What is the nutrition that supports our performance? A general theme of these foods is sufficient protein, sufficient fiber, a good variety of foods to get all the nutrition we need, and, you know, be able to, like I said, build that staple of the diet so that we always have these foods in there and that we're always able to hit our goals. And they'll allow us some flexibility to have some things that we enjoy outside of it. If you utilize these foods in your diet and build a diet around them, that a lot of the things that you enjoy will have room to fit in because you're hitting your protein, you're hitting your fiber, you're going to be feeling good, getting all of the nutrition you need, and allow yourself some things that you enjoy. So these aren't necessarily like, I'm not saying eat these foods and you'll just lose weight. I mean, if you only ate these foods, I'm sure you probably would, but this won't build a whole diet. These are just 8 staple foods in your diet. They're not diet foods. They are staple foods in your diet, in your nutrition plan. Number one, it's chicken breast. The chicken breast should be a staple in your diet. I mean, I guess you could pick any sort of lean protein that you enjoy. I just think chicken is the most versatile. It has, a great macro profile. You can eat a shit ton of it for a relatively small amount of calories, especially for the protein that you're getting. It's going to help you hit your protein goal. You can, like I said, do a bunch of different things with it. You can season it a bunch of different ways, make it taste different. Chicken breast, always number one. Hit that protein goal, get the most protein, fiber, nutrition, and eat the most for the least calories. Chicken breast is second to none in that category. Number two, non-fat Greek yogurt. I know everyone doesn't love Greek yogurt, but if you can find a way to enjoy it and get it in, it is I hesitate to say any food is like a diet hack, but fuck, man. Greek yogurt is, especially non-fat Greek yogurt, like the protein to calorie ratio, standing. You can get a ton of volume. You can mix different stuff in it. You can get plain Greek yogurt and have it be more savory. You can get sweetened Greek yogurt, have it be a dessert, like have it be breakfast, a snack, anything you want. I mean, this shit it's versatile and the macro profile is outstanding. We're hitting that protein, eating a ton of food volume, and it's pretty filling. Love yogurt for all of those reasons. That's why it comes in at number two. Number three is berries. I don't really specify what kind. They're all pretty similar as far as calories go. I think raspberries have the most fiber. Strawberries, you'll get the most volume out of, but they're low in calories, a low sugar fruit. If you care about that, I care about the calories, fiber content, and volume. So I can eat a ton of them. They have a bunch of fiber, low in calories. So I can eat more food volume, get nutrients, fiber, some carbs, a great food. The mix 2 and 3 together. Boy, you got a great snack. You got a great breakfast. You're good to go. Number 4 is going to be lentil pasta. I love lentil pasta for this reason. It has a sufficient amount of protein in it. It shouldn't be your main source of protein, but if we're looking at, oh man, I can't get enough protein in my diet, or, I don't get to eat enough things I enjoy. I can't eat pasta anymore. It's like, yes, you can. Now, does it taste just like pasta? No, but we have to make some sacrifices, correct? So with protein pasta, with lentil pasta specifically, the texture of it, in my opinion, is the best. Better than chickpea. Chickpea's mush. Lentils actually stay together. So I like the lentil pasta. Again, good protein in there. You get some fiber. You get, the benefits of eating lentils, which they have nutrients and things like that in them. A great food to include in your diet to make sure you always are hitting your protein target and getting enough fiber. Again, food volume, you can eat a good amount of it. It's filling, great food right there as a great alternative to regular pasta as well. Again, I think it has more filling qualities and more protein out of it, which is great. Number 5, going to be egg whites. Again, another really diet hack. I mean, shit. You get 5 or 6 grams of protein for 20 calories. The calories to protein ratio is just outstanding. Again, you can eat, it can add volume to your plate. You think about eating 2 regular eggs, that's 160, 170 calories, something like that. But you could eat way more egg white and get more protein out of it, less calories, and more food volume. So you're trading all of the things that you want. You get more protein, more food volume, and less calories. So that's a great one. You can add it to different meals. I've added egg whites to things like oatmeal. Number 6 is low carb wraps. The calories that you see on the back are not necessarily the amount of calories that are in the product. The reason I like low carb wraps the best is because they typically have a good amount of fiber. It's going to help with digestion speed and satiety, keeping you full. That's why I like these better. Sometimes they have more protein than a regular wrap. Also versatility. You can make wraps for on the go, for breakfast. You add variety to your diet, these low carb wraps, and they actually make a good amount of them that taste pretty good. So it's a great, lunch option, snack, breakfast option, gives you a ton of fiber. The calories are lower because not all of that fiber is digested. That'll increase your thermic effect of food. You're burning more calories to digest it. Number 7 is low calorie, low sugar, and low fat dressings. The best brand I know is G. Hughes. It makes a ton of low sugar and, light dressings and stuff like that. So that's a great way to add different flavors to your meals. Find different, low calorie, low carb, low fat dressings, sauces, all those kind of things to switch up the flavor profile of your meal. You think about eating a lot of chicken breast. How do I change the flavor of this? Different seasonings, but different sauces is a great way to change a meal without adding calories. Get a sauce that's under 50 calories a serving. I like it to be somewhere around 20 to 30 per tablespoon. I think that's a good range to be able to fit in those kind of things. And I think people forget about the sauces they're eating and how much of the sauce that they're eating. So being able to just reduce calories there and add versatility to your diet and put different flavors in without adding calories is a great way to do it. I recommend finding a variety of low carb, low calorie dressings and sauces to help you with your diet. The G. Hughes brand is the best one. And number 8, we got to put this one in here because it's just too easy and it's just too good, and it's vegetables. And this is any vegetable. I don't care what kind. I'm not including root vegetables. The fiber content, the volume that you can add to your meals for, a small amount of calories. You can add crunch. You can add different flavor. You can mix and match. You can do all kinds of stuff with vegetables. You can pack a bunch of greens into a wrap with chicken. Boom, you have a filling, wrap with plenty of fiber, plenty of nutrients. You just can't beat vegetables. I don't care what the carnivore assholes say. Fiber is good for you. Vegetables are good for you. Please eat your vegetables. If you built a diet out of these foods, you'd find it easier to put your diet together, hit your protein target, hit your calorie target, and like I said, be able to fit in things that you enjoy. I don't only eat these 8 foods. I do eat these 8 foods, but there are other foods that I eat. And I think that'll bring us into the underdog category. With this one, I went a little different, just some things to add to your diet. We're always thinking about more protein. There's so many protein products now, which is awesome. But the one thing about these protein products and the reason they're not included in the top 8 is because they are still heavily processed foods, and higher protein is more satiating, but damn, they make some of these foods taste really good now and not filling. You're eating a lot of processed foods and only getting protein. You're not getting a ton of nutrition. These underdog foods are great to add as snacks or supplements, but shouldn't be the staple of your diet. Number 1 is protein chips. Quest and Legendary are the 2 big brands. And they're great for if you want that salty, crunchy snack or trying to add, if you have sandwich and chips for lunch, instead of eating regular chips, eat the protein chips. I know they're more expensive, but again, trade-offs, guys. We have goals. We have a protein target to hit. We want to reach a certain weight, a certain body composition. We want to be able to maintain it. These things help. It's worth the money. So those things are good to add. Protein bars, as long as they follow the protein rule, which is on the back on the label, if you take the grams of protein times 10 should be equal to or greater than. So protein grams times 10 greater than or equal to the calories in the bar. This is a sufficient source of protein. It's also going to help you keep the calories down. You're eating a good amount of calories. You're probably eating at least 180 to 200 to 220. That's a significant amount of calories if you're eating either multiples of these a day or eating one a day. It adds up to a significant amount of calories, so you want to include that in your diet, but it's a great way to get something sweet and some protein. Just make sure it fits into your diet. Another one, protein cereal. It's one of my favorite things to eat. I mix it with Greek yogurt. I use non-fat milk to get a great high protein breakfast or high protein snack. Add some of those berries to it. You get a lot of great stuff out of that. Again, it is a processed food, So it doesn't make the top 8. It's a staple of my diet. I don't know if it should be a staple of everybody's. I don't know if it works for everybody, but it works out in mine. My favorite brands are Premier Protein, and Wheaties makes a good one now. The Wheaties one is higher calorie, so just be aware of that. I use that more for times of bulking or performance. Use Premier Protein when you're trying to cut. Best advice. Protein pancakes and waffles. Again, this is going to round out our protein products. Again, just a good way to add protein to the diet and get something in that you enjoy. This should never be a staple of your diet. The calories are too high. None follow the protein rule, but if you want a pancake or a waffle, finding ones with higher protein are, just a good benefit. Again, increases the thermic effect of food, sense of satiety, and gives you some benefit. So the calories that you're going to consume, we're getting some protein for it, more than we would with something else. Now, with all those foods, if you're really only enjoying them on a very occasional, very moderate basis, just get the thing you enjoy. It's going to be more worth it. It's going to satisfy the craving and help you consistently stay on your diet. That's great. If you have trouble staying on your diet and you're eating these foods a lot, adding the protein version can help really change the diet and help you out in a lot of ways. So look for that. Other, underdogs to watch, whole grain bread. I think it's underrated. I think bread is fine in the diet. You get more fiber with the whole grain version, get some nutrients. I think that can be included in the diet. One thing I love is light cheese. Cabo brand, CABOT, makes a great one that tastes really good. Some of the fat-free cheeses are just the texture's weird and it doesn't taste very good, but Cabo makes a really good one. A great way to reduce calories, add protein, non-fat milk. Super easy to get protein. Put it with protein cereal, cook with it. Another great way to add protein and just give you the best bang for your buck. Reduce calories in a very easy way. So when we're thinking about, how we build a diet and how we change our diet, what are the easiest changes? Going from full fat dairy to low or non-fat dairy, super easy. Like, the taste isn't going to change a lot. We're actually going to be able to probably get more volume. It's going to give us more protein. Like, those are easy changes, changing from 85-15 ground beef to 93-7. It's going to change the entire macros of our diet. Just little things like that. Like, changing from regular pasta to protein pasta, make it easy to reduce calories without thinking too much about it and without changing your entire life, without changing every single thing you eat and cook. Changing from regular bread to whole grain bread, regular wraps to low carb wraps, adding more veggies in your diet. Those are the easiest things to reduce calories, feel more full, and get more out of our diet, reach the body compositions and body weights we want, and be able to actually maintain them much easier as well and enjoy most of the things we eat. Those are the staples. They're really undefeated. The staples of the diet are always the same: protein, fiber, food volume, calorie control. That's where we go to. Now let's set some intention. When we talk about intention, we're talking about mindset. And how do we set our intention every single day and set our intention for our life through fitness to be able to get where we want to go? The difference between the most talented people and the most talented teams, or the most successful teams, usually isn't talent. Everyone at the highest levels is talented. Everyone has some level of innate talent and an ability to reach their full potential. The difference isn't your ability to do it. It's your mindset and the work you're willing and able to put in. I don't just talk about wanting it more, because everybody wants it. I hate when I see that kind of thing, like, oh, we just had more heart than the other team. It's like, how did you develop that? That's something developed, not just innate. It comes from the intention every single day to put in a certain amount of work to get where you want to be. Embrace the process, focus on getting a little bit better and overcoming adversity and busting this plateau and troubleshooting this thing and getting better at this. You build a belief in yourself that you're able to do that, and a confidence level that you're able to, compete at the highest levels and win. And when you go in to hit that PR, you have all the confidence you're going to do it. You're not questioning, can I really do it? Can I beat this weight? Can I beat this other team? No, it's You have the confidence because you've put yourself in those situations and developed the mindset being able to do the hard things. So you set the intention of getting in the gym and putting in the work. When you hit a setback, you understand, I just need to change course or find a way through this. I don't just quit and shut down. I don't just say yes to eating X, Y, and Z because, my coworker told me I had to, or my relative told me like, you have to eat this. I have goals. When I go out to eat, I'm not going to give in to cravings. I'm going to get the thing that supports my goals so I can still be social and have, my life, but have my goals as well. It's setting that intention each and every day that gives you the confidence to go out there and do it, and understanding that the process is the journey. It's not about the PRs each day. How do I do something to get better or improve myself? And it's not going to be, 1% better every day. That's not going to last forever, but getting up and doing something hard when you don't want to is enough. It's setting that intention in your life through fitness that then carries over to the rest of your life. This is something I struggle with, is that carry. Of course, I enjoy fitness. It's one of my favorite things. I always feel confident in the gym. I have big goals. Taking all those lessons outside of there is the hardest part. How do I be a better person, a better partner? It's the same principles of progressive overload, pushing yourself to be better, putting yourself in difficult situations and overcoming, giving yourself confidence. Fitness is a great way to teach it because you also get so much benefit out of the fitness part of it as well. You live healthier, stronger, more muscle, better body composition. You feel better, are healthier, show up for your family, less stressed. Carrying it over into your life is the difference between becoming a champion and becoming super successful in whatever you're doing, whatever your pursuit. And again, super successful for you can be whatever you want. A good job, taking care of your family. It can be being the best CEO of all time or whatever it is. But if you don't have the intention and live each day with that intention, it's never going to happen. Start in the gym, set your intention to get stronger, overcome adversity, stick to your diet, plan, prep, set yourself up for success. That intention is going to make the difference between you reaching your goal and you not. When it comes to reaching your goal, that brings us into power number 5, which is action. How do we take that action? How does this apply to March Madness? The way I think about it is just get in the tournament. So when teams get in the tournament, anything can happen. You can beat any team on any given day. You can make a run. No matter what happened in your season, if you get in the tournament, you have a chance. You get in the gym, you have a chance to get better. If you buy the foods that you want to eat and make some meals, you have a chance to be successful that week. But if you don't do those things, you have no chance of being successful. We can't just sit around and wish for the opportunity. Could have just got into the tournament. I could have done it. If I could get to the gym, lift weights, because we have whatever self-limiting beliefs, injury, physical ability, family, food situation. These are all self-limiting beliefs that keep you from taking action. When you take action, that's how you build momentum. That's how you build motivation, because you take an action, you see a little bit of progress, and that builds momentum and motivation. It doesn't happen first. It's not the motivational quote leads me to do this, to do this. That's not normally how it works. We have to take action. Taking action helps understand what's working and what's not. We never know if we're any good. If we never get in the gym, we don't know what exercises work for us. We don't know what foods work best for us in our diet. If we never try different things or eat healthy, we're always left wondering or saying, I should do this or I should do that. And if you don't do it, you never get the result. So that's why taking that action, putting yourself in the arena, putting yourself in the tournament, put yourself in the gym, put good food in front of you and see what happens. See what kind of difference that makes. And that is my challenge to you this week. Get in the gym, whatever you're not doing, get meal prepped, go to the grocery store, cook a meal, stop eating out. Whatever that action is, get in the gym, pick up a weight, pick up a slightly heavier weight. If you're always doing the 5s, pick up the 10. See what happens. Don't make stupid big jumps, just a little bit of weight. Add a little weight to the bar. Push yourself 1 rep further. See what happens. Just get yourself in the arena. Do that this week and see what difference that makes. If it doesn't make a difference, I'll eat my words, but I highly doubt that you taking action is not going to make some sort of positive change in your life. That's what this podcast and my brand, Fifth Power Fitness, that's what all of this is all about, is making positive change in your life, not just in your fitness, but we're going to do it through fitness. That's what the Lifting Cues podcast is all about. I thank you guys for listening. I invite you to debate my elite. Get in the comments on YouTube, DM me at CoachQ_fitness. Let me know what you thought, what I didn't include, what I should have included, what you disagree with. I welcome all debate, all questions. This is the Lifting Cues podcast. Feel free to debate any of these things. Make sure you sign up for the newsletter at fifthpowerfitness.com. You can subscribe to that. Get the Fifth Power Friday newsletter every single Friday, where you can reply directly to me, debate any of these things that you see. You will see that Elite 8 list in that email. So make sure that you subscribe. Follow me on social media, like, rate, subscribe, wherever you're getting the podcast. And last thing to focus on this week, that champion's mindset. Set your intention each and every day. Write it down. Just one intention for the day and make sure that you live that out. That is the champion's mindset, and that will make all the difference. Until next week, lifters, I'll see you then.